When the power failure plunged Aurelia Tower into darkness, CEO Evelyn Hart had exactly 30 minutes to reach the boardroom on the 20th floor. 20 flights of stairs. Heels. No elevator. She almost laughed when the quiet project manager Daniel Ross said, "I can carry you up." Evelyn issued a challenge. "If you can do it, I'll grant you one condition, anything you want." She had no idea that what he would ask for would change her entire life. The storm hit downtown at 4:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Evelyn Hart stood in the marble lobby of Aurelia Tower, watching rain slash against the floor-to-ceiling windows. Lightning fractured the sky. Then, nothing. The lights died. Emergency systems kicked in for 3 seconds before those failed too. Darkness. Complete and sudden. "Backup generators are flooded," someone shouted from facilities. "We're estimating 2 hours minimum." Evelyn's phone screen glowed in her hand. 4:48 p.m. The board meeting started at 5:15 p.m., 20th floor. No negotiation, no delay. This was the meeting that would determine whether she kept control of Hart Global or whether the board would install someone more experienced. Translation: older. Male, not Robert Hart's 32-year-old daughter. Her father had died 4 months ago. Heart attack at his desk, still holding a pen. The board had given her a trial period. Tonight was the end of that trial. "Ma'am, the stairwells have emergency lighting," her assistant said, voice tight with anxiety. "But 20 floors." Evelyn looked down at her shoes. 4-inch heels, cream-colored suede. Designer. Entirely impractical. She'd chosen them because they made her eye level with the tallest board member. "I'll manage," she said. "Miss Hart." The voice came from her left. Daniel Ross stepped forward, a manila folder tucked under his arm. Project manager for the infrastructure division. She'd seen him in meetings, always prepared. Never spoke unless he had something worth saying. He'd been working late on the quarterly report she needed for tonight. "I can carry you up," he said. No preamble, no false modesty. Several people turned to stare. Someone laughed nervously. Evelyn studied him. Tall, maybe 6'2". Broad shoulders under a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He didn't look like he was joking. He looked like someone who'd done harder things than carry a 120-pound woman up 20 flights of stairs. "That's ridiculous," she said. "You need to be upstairs in 27 minutes. In those shoes, you'll take 40. Without them, you'll arrive looking like you hiked a mountain." He paused. "With respect, ma'am, perception matters tonight." He wasn't wrong. If she walked in, sweating, barefoot, hair disheveled, the board would see exactly what they wanted to see. Weakness, inability to handle pressure. Something reckless flickered in her chest. Maybe it was the storm. Maybe it was the weight of 4 months holding everything together with no room to breathe. "All right," Evelyn said. "If you can carry me to the 20th floor without stopping, I'll grant you one condition. Anything you want. But you don't stop. Not once." Daniel's expression didn't change. "Agreed." She bent down, slipped off her shoes. Someone handed her a bottle of water. The lobby crowd had formed a loose circle, watching like this was some kind of spectacle. "How do we do this?" she asked quietly. "Piggyback is most efficient," Daniel said. "If you're comfortable with that." Evelyn hesitated for only a second. Then she stepped behind him, looped her arms around his neck. He crouched slightly. She jumped and his hands locked under her thighs, lifting her weight like it was nothing. "Hold on," he said, and started walking toward the emergency stairwell. The stairwell was dimly lit, emergency strips casting a pale green glow. Their footsteps echoed. Evelyn tried to hold herself rigid, distribute her weight evenly. Daniel's breathing was steady. He took the steps in a rhythm, 2 at a time, controlled, no wasted motion. "You've done this before," she said after the first flight. "Carried someone upstairs? Moved like this, Like you're trained. Firefighter. 12 years. His voice was even, no strain yet. Retired 3 years ago. That explained the shoulders. The calm. Firefighters trained for exactly this, carrying people out of buildings when everything was falling apart. Why did you retire? She asked. You're not old enough to collect a pension. My daughter needed me home. Second flight. Third. His pace hadn't changed. How old is she? Lucy's 7. Evelyn felt something shift in her chest. 7 years old. That meant her mother passed during childbirth, Daniel said, answering the question she hadn't asked. Complications. I had a choice. Keep running into burning buildings and risk leaving Lucy an orphan, or find work where I'd come home every night. Fourth flight. Fifth. Evelyn's arms were starting to ache from holding on, but Daniel's breathing was still controlled. That must have been hard, she said quietly. Giving up something you loved. I didn't give it up. I chose something I loved more. The simplicity of it hit her harder than she expected. No resentment in his voice. No regret. Just a man who'd looked at his life and made a decision. 6th floor. Halfway there. Do you ever miss it? She asked. Every day. He paused at a landing, adjusted his grip. Not resting, just recalibrating. But missing something and regretting a choice are different things. I see Lucy every morning. I help with homework. I know her friends' names. That's worth more than adrenaline. Evelyn was silent. When was the last time she'd chosen something because she wanted it, not because she had to prove something? 7th floor. 8th. You're quiet, Daniel said. I'm thinking. About? About how I don't know the names of anyone's children in this building. Does that bother you? It didn't. Until now. 9th floor. Daniel's breathing was deeper now, but still steady. Evelyn could feel the heat radiating off his back through his shirt. Can I ask you something? He said. You're carrying me up 20 floors. I think you've earned a question. Why tonight? Why is this meeting so important? Evelyn felt her jaw tighten. The board thinks I'm not ready. Are you? She should have been offended. Instead, she found herself answering honestly. I don't know. My father ran this company for 34 years. He built it from nothing, and then he died, and suddenly I'm supposed to just... Except they're men who've been in this industry since before I was born, and they're looking for any excuse to say I'm not qualified. 10th floor. 11. What would qualify you? Daniel asked. Not being his daughter. Not being 32. Not being... She stopped. Not being a woman? Do you believe them? The question caught her off guard. What? Do you believe you're not qualified? Evelyn opened her mouth. Closed it. 12 floors up, hanging onto a man she barely knew, and he'd just asked the question no one else had dared to ask. I don't know, she whispered. I'm terrified I'll prove them right. Daniel was quiet for a moment. 13th floor. Lucy had night terrors for a year after her mother died, he said. She'd wake up screaming, couldn't breathe. I'd sit with her, and she'd ask me the same thing every time. What if I forget her? She was terrified she'd lose the memory of her mother's voice. What did you tell her? That fear doesn't mean failure. It means you care about something enough to be afraid of losing it. 14th floor. 15. Evelyn felt something crack open in her chest. You're afraid because you love what your father built, Daniel continued. That's not weakness. That's the only qualification that matters. 16 floors. His breathing was labored now. She could feel the tremble starting in his legs. You're tired, she said. I'm fine. Daniel, I said I'd carry you to the 20th floor. I don't break promises. 17th floor. Daniel's pace had slowed, but he hadn't stopped. You can take a break, Evelyn said. 30 seconds. It won't. The condition was no stops. I'm giving you permission. You think those board members will give you permission to rest? His voice was rough now, strained. You think they'll cut you slack when things get hard? 18th floor. She could feel him shaking. This isn't the same thing, she said. It's exactly the same thing. You're going to walk into that room, and they're going to push. They're going to look for any crack, and you're going to stand there and take it, because you don't have a choice. So neither do I. 19th floor. His hands were locked under her thighs, knuckles white. Every step was deliberate now, muscles screaming. Daniel, please. You're not weak, Evelyn. He ground out the words between breaths. You're not failing. You're just tired. And being tired isn't the same as being broken. 20th floor landing. Daniel took the last 3 steps and stopped, set her down carefully, then put one hand against the wall, chest heaving. Evelyn stood there, barefoot on concrete, staring at him. Her shoes were still clutched in one hand. Her heart was pounding, not from exertion, from something else entirely. You did it, she said. Daniel straightened, looked at her. His shirt was soaked through with sweat. His face was flushed, but his eyes were clear. I told you I would. The condition, Evelyn said. What do you want? She was expecting something professional, a promotion, a raise, access to a project he couldn't get otherwise. That's what people usually wanted from her. Daniel took a breath, let it out slowly. Have dinner with me? Evelyn blinked. What? Not Miss Hart and the project manager, not CEO and employee, just Evelyn and Daniel. 2 people eating food and talking. That's what I want. She stared at him. Of all the things she'd imagined, that's what you carried me up 20 floors for? Dinner? Because, in the last 20 minutes, I've seen more of who you actually are than I've seen in the 6 months I've worked here. And I want to see more. The door to the 20th floor hallway opened. Her assistant appeared. Miss Hart, thank God, we have 3 minutes. Evelyn didn't move. She kept looking at Daniel. Okay, she said. Okay. Dinner, this Friday. 7 o'clock. She paused. I keep my promises too. Friday. Small Italian restaurant in a neighborhood Evelyn had never visited. No photographers, no business contacts. Just red-checked tablecloths and the smell of garlic bread. Daniel was already there when she arrived. He stood when she walked in. Different shirt, dark blue, crisp but not formal. She'd worn jeans. When was the last time she'd worn jeans to meet someone? You look surprised, she said, sitting down. You're on time. Were you expecting me to be late? I was expecting you to cancel. She couldn't argue with that. She'd drafted the cancellation text 3 times. They ordered. Wine for her, water for him. When the waiter left, the silence stretched. Tell me about Lucy, Evelyn said finally. Daniel's face softened immediately. She's in 2nd grade, loves dinosaurs, hates math, wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up, changes her mind every week. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo, a girl with dark hair and pigtails, missing one front tooth, holding a scraggly cat. That's Muffin, Daniel said. Lucy found her behind a grocery store. Convinced me we had to adopt her by citing statistics on feral cat survival rates. She's 7 and she knows statistics? She's 7 and she knows how to win arguments. He smiled. Wonder where she gets that. From her father, clearly. Her mother was a lawyer. Lucy's got both of us. God help the world when she's a teenager. Evelyn found herself smiling. When was the last time she'd smiled like this? Not the polite CEO smile. A real one. What was your wife's name? She asked quietly. Sarah. Daniel's expression shifted, but didn't close. We met in college. She was brilliant, terrifying in a courtroom. Could reduce grown men to tears with cross-examination. He paused. She wanted kids so badly. We tried for 3 years. When she finally got pregnant, we thought everything was perfect. I'm sorry, Evelyn said. She got to hold Lucy for 2 minutes before he stopped. Breathed. 2 minutes. But she looked at her and said, She's perfect. Those were the last words I heard her say. Evelyn's throat tightened. How did you survive that? Honestly, I'm not sure I did. The first year was mechanical. Feed Lucy. Change Lucy. Keep Lucy breathing. I didn't let myself think about Sarah because if I started, I wouldn't stop, and Lucy needed me. He looked up. That's why I left firefighting. I was taking bigger risks, going into situations I shouldn't have. My captain pulled me aside and said, "You're trying to join her. Your daughter needs you to stay." The food arrived. They ate slowly. The conversation drifted books, movies, the absurdity of corporate jargon. Evelyn told him about her father, how he used to take her to the office on Saturdays when she was little, let her sit in the big chair and pretend to run meetings with stuffed animals. "He never pushed me toward the business," she said. "Never said I had to take over. But he'd watch me in meetings after I joined, and I could see it in his face. Pride. He believed in me." She set down her fork. "The board doesn't." "What happened in the meeting?" Daniel asked. "Tuesday night. They tabled the vote. Said they needed more time to evaluate my performance." Translation. "They're gathering ammunition. Are you going to fight?" "I don't know how to do anything else." Daniel nodded slowly. "That's what I was afraid of." "What do you mean?" "You fight so hard, Evelyn. I see it. Everyone sees it. But what happens when fighting isn't enough? What happens when you need to rest? I can't afford to rest. That's not sustainable. Neither is letting my father's legacy crumble because I wasn't strong enough." "Strength isn't refusing to bend," Daniel said quietly. "It's knowing when to. Steel that's too rigid breaks. You need flexibility to survive pressure." Evelyn stared at him. "Did you rehearse that?" "Yes." Lucy helped. "She said I should use a tree metaphor, but I thought steel was more your speed." Despite everything, Evelyn laughed. "You workshopped relationship advice with your 7-year-old? She's wise beyond her years." He paused. The question hung between them. "I don't know what this is," Evelyn said honestly. "I don't date. I don't have time for." She stopped. "That's a lie. I don't make time. Because making time means admitting I want something besides work. Do you?" "Want something besides work?" Evelyn looked at him. At this man who'd carried her up 20 floors because she was too proud to show weakness, who'd lost everything and rebuilt himself around a little girl who needed him, who was sitting across from her, asking questions no one else dared to ask. "Yes," she said. "I think I do." The photograph appeared in a business blog 3 days later. Grainy, taken through the restaurant window. Evelyn and Daniel at the table, her hand reaching across toward his. The headline, "Hart Global CEO's Romantic Entanglement with Employee Raises Questions About Judgment." Evelyn's assistant put the tablet on her desk at 7:15 a.m. "It's being picked up. 3 media outlets so far." Evelyn stared at the image. You couldn't see their faces clearly, but you could see enough. The board meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. "Emergency session," she called Daniel. "Did you see it?" "Yes." His voice was calm. Too calm. "I'm drafting my resignation." "Don't." "Evelyn, I'm not letting this destroy what your father built. You're not the one destroying anything. They are." She gripped the phone. "Don't resign. Please. Let me handle this." Silence. Then, "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to fight. That's what I'm afraid of." The boardroom at 2 p.m. 12 men, 1 woman, all sitting in judgment. Richard Thornton, chairman of the board, led the charge. "Miss Hart, these optics are unacceptable. Your relationship with a subordinate." "My relationship," Evelyn interrupted, "is not the subject of this meeting. It is when it reflects on the company. We've given you significant leeway during this transitional period, but this demonstrates a lack of judgment that what? That I'm human? That I have a personal life? That you're allowing personal matters to interfere with professional responsibility." Thornton leaned forward. "We're prepared to offer a solution. Mr. Ross has indicated willingness to resign. If you accept his resignation and issue a statement distancing yourself from the relationship, we can contain this." Evelyn's hands were flat on the table. "No, Miss Hart." I said no. She stood. "Let me be very clear. Daniel Ross is one of the most competent project managers in this building. His work is impeccable. His judgment is sound, and my relationship with him, whatever it may or may not be, has zero impact on his performance or mine. The optics. The optics are that you're holding me to a standard you've never applied to anyone else in this room." She looked around the table. "Jonathan, you married your executive assistant, Peter. Your wife was your direct report when you started dating. Richard, should I pull up the photos from the company retreat in Aspen?" Thornton's face darkened. "That's entirely different. It's different because I'm Robert Hart's daughter. It's different because I'm 32. It's different because I'm a woman, and you're terrified that if I show any sign of having a life outside this building, it means I'm not serious enough to lead. This isn't about gender. It's entirely about gender. You want me to be exactly like my father, work 18-hour days, sacrifice everything, live and breathe Hart Global. But the moment I show I'm anything other than a machine, you call it a liability." The room was silent. "Here's what's going to happen," Evelyn said. "Daniel Ross is not resigning. I'm not issuing a statement, and if you have a problem with that, then let's have the vote you've been circling for 4 months. Right now. Am I qualified to lead this company or not?" Thornton stared at her. "You're willing to stake your position on this?" "I'm willing to stake my position on being treated like a human being instead of a performing seal." "Yes." Another board member, Margaret Chen, the only other woman, spoke up. "I'd like to point out that Miss Hart's quarterly results are the strongest we've seen in 18 months. Revenue is up 12%. Client retention is at 94%. Perhaps we should focus on performance metrics rather than tabloid speculation." Slowly, reluctantly, heads began to nod. Thornton's jaw worked. "Fine. But if this becomes a distraction, it won't," Evelyn said. "Because you're going to issue a statement saying the board has full confidence in my leadership and that my personal life is not subject to corporate oversight. You're dictating terms now? I'm establishing boundaries, something I should have done 4 months ago." Thornton looked around the table. No one backed him up. Finally, he nodded. "We'll draft something. Today," Evelyn said. "I want it out before close of business." She walked out of the boardroom before anyone could respond. Friday afternoon. Evelyn stood outside Daniel's apartment, holding a bag of Chinese takeout and trying not to panic. The door opened. Daniel looked surprised. "Evelyn, you said Lucy wanted to meet the woman from the picture." "I thought if the offer's still open, I could bring dinner?" Daniel's expression softened. He stepped aside. "Come in." The apartment was small but warm. Drawings covered the refrigerator. A half-finished puzzle spread across the coffee table. And sitting on the couch, drowning in an oversized dinosaur sweatshirt, was Lucy. She looked up, studied Evelyn with the serious gaze of a child sizing up an adult. "You're really tall," Lucy said. "I'm wearing heels," Evelyn replied, "because I spent most of my life trying to look taller than men in boardrooms." Lucy considered this. "That's dumb. You should just tell them to sit down." Evelyn laughed a real, unexpected laugh. "You're absolutely right." They ate dinner at the small kitchen table. Lucy interrogated Evelyn with the thoroughness of a seasoned prosecutor. "Favorite color? Purple. Favorite dinosaur? Ankylosaurus. Could she do a cartwheel? No. But she was willing to learn. After dinner, Lucy dragged Evelyn to her room to show her the rock collection. Each rock had a story found at the park, traded with a friend, given by her dad after a hard day. "This one's special," Lucy said, holding up a smooth gray stone. "Dad got it from a river where he and my mom went on their first date. He says if you hold it when you're sad, you can remember good things." Evelyn's throat tightened. That's beautiful. Do you get sad? Lucy asked. Sometimes. About what? About trying to be perfect all the time, and being scared I'll let people down. Lucy frowned. That sounds tiring. It is. You should get a rock. That night, after Lucy went to bed, Evelyn and Daniel sat on the couch. The puzzle between them. Evelyn picked up a piece, turned it absently. She's incredible, Evelyn said. She is. Daniel found a matching piece, clicked it into place. Thank you for letting me. She paused. I was terrified. Of a 7-year-old? Of proving, I don't know how to do this. Normal life. Family dinners. Puzzles. She set down the piece. You don't have to forget one to be the other, don't I? That's what everyone seems to think. The board, the media, even me. Like I have to choose between being good at my job and being a person. What if you don't choose? What if you just are both? Evelyn looked at him. Is that what you do? I try. Some days I'm a better dad than an employee. Some days it's reversed. But Lucy knows I love her, and my work knows I'm reliable. That's enough. Is it enough for you? It has to be, because the alternative is missing her childhood while I chase perfection I'll never reach. Evelyn was quiet for a long moment. Then she found another puzzle piece, fitted it carefully. I'd like to keep doing this, she said softly. Dinner, puzzles, being here. Lucy would like that too. And you? Daniel's hand covered hers on the puzzle. I carried you up 20 floors, Evelyn. I meant what I said. I want to see all of you, not just the CEO. If you're willing to let me. She turned her hand over, laced her fingers through his. I'm willing, she said. The power went out at 4:52 p.m. on a Thursday. Evelyn Hart, now permanently confirmed as CEO, bored firmly in her corner after 5 years of record growth, was in her office when the lights died. She looked up from her laptop, unsurprised. Storm season, aging infrastructure. They'd authorized the upgrades last year, but construction took time. Her office door opened. Daniel, now VP of Operations, stuck his head in. Backup generators are down, I heard. She stood, reaching for her shoes. Flats this time. She'd learned. Meetings on the 12th floor today, Daniel said. Only 12 flights. You volunteering to carry me again? Only if you make it worth my while. Behind Daniel, a voice. Gross. You guys are old. Lucy appeared, 12 now, tall and lanky. Her dark hair in a perpetually messy ponytail. She was here for Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, though, really. Lucy had been coming to the office with Daniel since she was 8. We're not old, Evelyn said. We're experienced. You're old, Lucy confirmed. Can I come to the meeting? It's a budget review. You'll be bored. I'm bored everywhere. At least there's free snacks. They walked to the stairwell together. Emergency lights cast the same pale green glow. Evelyn felt Daniel's hand find hers in the darkness. Remember the first time? He asked quietly. I remember thinking you were insane. You didn't know me yet. No, she agreed. I didn't. They climbed. Lucy bounded ahead, making a game of counting steps. Evelyn watched her, this child who'd become hers in all the ways that mattered. The adoption had been finalized 2 years ago, after she and Daniel married. Lucy had been 10, old enough to understand what it meant. Do you think Mom would be okay with this? Lucy had asked Daniel the night before the ceremony. Your mom wanted you to be loved, Daniel had said. Evelyn loves you. Now Lucy called back from 2 flights up. You guys are slow. We're savoring the journey, Evelyn called back. You're old and out of shape, Daniel laughed. Evelyn elbowed him. They kept climbing. At the landing between the 8th and 9th floors, Lucy stopped, turned around. Can I ask something? Always, Evelyn said. What if that first night the one Dad tells stories about, what if he hadn't carried you up? What if you'd walked yourself? Evelyn exchanged a glance with Daniel. She'd never thought about that. I'd still be CEO, she said slowly. I'd have made it to the meeting. Proven myself. But would you be happy? The question hit harder than expected. I don't know, Evelyn admitted. I think I would have kept fighting, kept trying to prove I was strong enough. And I don't know if I ever would have stopped long enough to see what I was missing. What were you missing? Lucy asked. This, Evelyn said simply. You, your dad. Dinners where we argue about homework. Weekends where we don't talk about work at all. Normal things. Human things. She paused. I was missing the part of life that makes the rest of it worth doing. Lucy nodded seriously. So, Dad carrying you up the stairs was actually him saving you. In a way, Daniel said. Though technically, your mom saved me first. How? Lucy asked. By letting me see her. Not the armor she showed everyone else. The real person underneath. They reached the 12th floor. The hallway was crowded with people waiting. Someone had brought flashlights. Someone else had ordered pizza. Miss Hart, one of the managers, called. We're set up in conference room B. Should we postpone? Evelyn looked at Lucy, then at Daniel. She thought about the girl she'd been 5 years ago, desperate to prove herself, terrified of showing weakness, carrying the weight of the world alone. Give us 15 minutes, she said. Let everyone eat. Power should be back soon. She led Daniel and Lucy to her office instead. They sat on the couch by the window, watching lightning fracture the sky. Tell me the story again, Lucy said. About the 20 floors. You've heard it 100 times, Daniel said. I want to hear it again. So Daniel told it. How Evelyn had challenged him. How he'd carried her up flight after flight. How they'd talked about things they'd never told anyone else. How he'd asked for dinner, and she'd said yes. Lucy listened, even though she knew every word. When Daniel finished, she was quiet. You know what I think? She said finally. What? Evelyn asked. I think the challenge wasn't about proving Dad could carry you. It was about proving you could let him. Evelyn felt tears prick her eyes. When had Lucy gotten so wise? You're right, she said softly. I know, Lucy said. I'm always right. The lights flickered, hummed, came back on. Someone cheered in the hallway. The power was restored. Evelyn stood, straightened her blazer, CEO mode clicking back into place. But before she left, she crouched down to Lucy's level. Thank you, she said. For what? For reminding me that strength isn't doing everything alone. It's knowing when to let people help carry you. Lucy hugged her, quick and fierce. You're welcome, Mom. The meeting went smoothly. Budget approved, projects greenlit, everyone home by 7. That night, in their house in the suburbs, the one with the big backyard where Lucy kept her rock collection and Daniel built birdhouses, they ate dinner together. Normal food, normal conversation, normal life. After Lucy went to bed, Evelyn and Daniel sat on the back porch. Rain had cleared. Stars were out. Do you ever regret it? Evelyn asked. That night, the challenge? Never. Not even when the board made things difficult. Especially not then. Because you stood up for yourself. For us. You stopped trying to be what they wanted and started being who you are. He took her hand. That's the woman I carried up those stairs. The one who was brave enough to be vulnerable. Evelyn leaned her head on his shoulder. I still don't know if I would have figured it out on my own. You would have. Eventually. Maybe it would have taken longer. Maybe you would have burned out first. But you're too smart not to figure it out. What if I hadn't let you carry me? Then I would have found another way. Waited for another power outage. Followed you up the stairs, asked you to coffee in the lobby. He smiled. I'm persistent. You're annoying. You married me. Worst decision I ever made. Third worst. First was those cream heels. Second was trying to prove something to people who were never going to be convinced. Evelyn laughed, kissed him. They sat in the quiet dark, listening to crickets and distant traffic. Inside, Lucy called out. Are you guys being gross again? Yes, Daniel called back. Figures. Evelyn smiled. I love our life. Me too. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for letting me. Above them, stars wheeled through darkness. Below them, solid ground. Between them, a family built not on perfection or proof, but on the simple courage of being known. Evelyn had learned that